I have a confession to make. Okay, in the last video in this series, I mentioned that we were going to finish the rendering of the wall, and it was perfect because it's going to close out that little project at the end of a work week. And then we were going to start Monday morning on Wilma's dirty kitchen, and that's the biggest part of the projects, is to work on the dirty kitchen because there's so much to do in there. A lot of cleaning, and the ceiling and painting and the ceramic tile floors. So it's the biggest part of the project. So of course, always wanting to start a big project on the beginning of a work week. So we had it all planned out. We were good to go. Now, do you guys remember last week where we gave the guys off on Wednesday because we had a party to go to, housewarming for our friends, Jenny and Jeff? So that kind of threw us off. I'm leading here somewhere. Threw us off for the week. So let me explain the mistake that I made. And I was talking to my one of my friends, Kelly, said it ruined my day because I made a mistake. So the bottom line is, we usually get up pretty early. Usually up by 6:30, sometimes 7, very rarely past 7 o'clock. However, we do put the alarm on Wilma's phone at 7 a.m. Just in case we oversleep. So what we did was, the guys usually get here about 10 minutes to 8, but on Saturdays they ask, and they did that during the whole house build. The contractor allows them to start an hour early, so they start at 7 a.m. You see where I'm going? 7 a.m. on Saturdays. Well, guess what? Saturday comes, and Wilma and I just slept in. And the alarm did go off at 7 o'clock. So the alarm went off. We shut the alarm off. I clicked on the TV and watched TV. And I usually watch the news in the morning for like 15 minutes just to wake up. Normally Wilma's making coffee at that time. And then, I get up and get ready. I take a shower, I get dressed, I'm ready to go. So we did that thinking, because of not working on Wednesday, we were thinking it was Friday. So, at 7 o'clock, the guys will be here in an hour. We're good to go. So I guess our home is pretty well insulated because the guys got here at 7 o'clock. From the house to the gate is probably about 30 meters. And, kept hearing, "I-O, I-O," never heard it. So I get up, I jump in the shower, Wilma's making coffee, and then we sat down and watched a little TV. Again, the fan's on, the TV's on, drank coffee. And I finally got up, and it was 7:27. And I walked outside, and what I normally do is just walk around and make sure, all the tools are out. I always put everything out for the guys because they put everything away, just to try to get them, hitting the ground running right at 8 o'clock. So on my CCTV, you can clearly see me walking out on the driveway. I go down and open the gate. You can see me opening the gate at 7:27. Well, the guys were here at like 10 to 7 and left somewhere between that time and 7:27. So obviously we don't know that. The guys, leave, and it was payday for them, so we felt bad. So we called them about 8:10 because, we were thinking they were going to be here at 8 o'clock. So at about 8:10, Wilma calls, and they're like, "Oh, we're already home." So we offered for them to come back, and they said, "No, we'll take the day off. That's fine." Because they're actually working 7 days a week. They're working on Sunday at like a family member's home, doing some renovations. So these guys are working 7 days a week. So they're probably happy for the day off. And yes, we're going to pay them for their day. But anyway, we lost a day. It is what it is. Lost 2 days last week because of the party. So what that means is it's now Monday morning, and here I am. We're just starting to do the rendering, and we're not going to get to the dirty kitchen until Tuesday. And again, that's okay, but it wasn't okay with me on Saturday. I was really upset with myself. It's all my fault that I didn't know what day it was. So I guess that's what happens sometimes when you're retired. You kind of lose track of the days. All right, here we go. Monday morning. So the rendering has started. So we'll discuss this a little bit. So the first thing they asked me is, how high do you want the wall to go? And I told them just to try to keep the angles correctly, let's try to just match it to the bottom of that beam. So let me zoom in. You see the black beam right there, the 2x4 black beam? I said, just snap a line at the bottom of that beam level, and we'll call it a day. That'll be good. So the first thing that they did, and you can see there's a nail over there, snap line, see the white nylon line, and there's a nail sticking up. And they put a level on it going across. So they will build up, and it looks like, well, it's not that much, maybe 2 inches, 3 inches. They're going to build up. And what they're going to do, and what I asked them to do, let me take a little of the zoom out. What I asked them to do is right here in this area, the rainwater runs down and we get mold right in this area. And that's because water's dripping down on this side of the wall. So what I asked them to do, and remember it's about 4 inches thick, approximately, about 4 inches thick, the wall. So I told them when they do the topping, don't do it flat like they did here. If you look at this wall, it's flat. Do a little angle on it, tip it, just a little bit this way. So hopefully that'll help when rainwater hits the top of the wall, rainwater will go off the back and go down. And we had another question on the last video about trimming the trees back there. Remember, this wall is 1 meter onto my property. So we go out 1 meter where the property line is, and we trim up at that level. So we're actually not standing on their property. Now our neighbors right here, they don't mind. In fact, Wilma went over there and said, hey, we're going to be doing some trimming. And they were like, yeah, no problem. So it's not an issue. And actually, you got a little information on our neighbors. Over there, it's a husband and wife, young couple in the 30s, with 2 children, 7 and 4, and then their mom and dad, so grandma, grandpa. So the parents and the 2 kids are actually moving to Wilma's Island in 2 weeks. So the mom and dad and the 2 children will be moving, 3 islands away. The husband got a full-time job in Leyte, and just grandma and grandpa will be living in the home right on the other side of that wall. So there they go. They're starting to render. Looks like it's going to go pretty quick. So they just basically take the sand, the same sand that was used to mix this cement. And I bought a meter of screen, and they screen it. But this sand is real fine anyway, but still they want to get all the pebbles out of it. So they screen it to get really fine sand, and then they mix it, again, a very high concentration. It's like 1 or 2 bags of sand to like 1 bag of cement. So this is the cement we're using right here. So it's very high concentration of cement. Try to nail through that. You put a normal like 8-penny nail, it will not go through. You'll bend the nail. Even concrete nails have a hard time getting through it. And the reason for that is because I believe the high concentration of cement to sand. So they're going through and they just scoop it up and they throw it. It's a technique. They just throw it on, and it dries quickly, and they get enough on there, and then they do a rough smooth. They just rough it in. And I've always wondered why they have so many gaps here. And why is it so rough? And why don't they use the tool to smooth this all out like you see in the West? And I think it's because of this step. They want it to be rough, more surface area, and I think it helps the concrete attach. Because you can see that the concrete, it stays on. It doesn't come off. I mean, and sometimes it cracks. You know, you do get some surface cracks from time to time. But if you look at our fence doesn't have cracks. It looks like there's one here, but it's actually the line. But that's what they're doing. This should go pretty quick. Now the trick's going to be, how do we get to the other side? So we're going to have to carry this to the other side because we're going to render the back side as well. But they'll just go ahead and smooth this out, and they do 2 coats. They do a rough coat. They let it dry like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes from what I remember when they did the wall. And then they'll come through, usually with a squirt bottle of water, because it's starting to dry already, and they'll squirt some water on it. And I'll get that on video later on today. As you guys probably are aware, I'm getting very descriptive in my recent videos, and you know, there's really a reason for that, because we get so many questions about construction and how things are done in the Philippines. A lot of you are thinking of building, thinking of retiring here, and you know, considering building. So you guys do bounce a lot of questions off of us. So this go around, I'm trying to really show you how things are done. And I apologize if I am a little too descriptive. But a couple of questions that's come up that has repeated is about skim coating. Now, skim coating, as I understand it, the skim coat's really not a cement. It's like a joint compound, a powdered joint compound. So should you skim coat your concrete or not skim coat? It's a real good question, and I'm going to do my best to try to answer it, because I think there's 2 reasons why you want to skim coat. Now, our wall all the way around the property is not skim coated. We did not skim coat the concrete wall. Now, why didn't we do that? One, cost, because it's a lot of labor to smooth it all out and sand it all down. And it's really not necessary if you don't mind the rough concrete look. So if you look real close here, you can see when they rendered it, there is a texture. And we did not want this texture on our house. We wanted it smooth. And it's like sandpaper, it's concrete. So that's very, very rough to the touch. Now, people say paint will fail if you don't skim coat. And I'm going to challenge that, because this is a year old. And the fence all the way around the property looks really, really good. The sun beats on it, humidity, the tropical rains. And here it is a year later, and it has not failed. So with the concrete being acidic, they say that you really should skim coat to put that layer between the concrete and the paint. And I guess that does make sense, but what I was told, and I'm curious what you guys think, as long as you render and let that render sit for 28 days, that's the recommended, so call it 30, call it a month. Let it sit unpainted for a month so it cures properly, and then you can put concrete paint on it after 30 days. So that's what we did. And I think this sat even longer. I think this was maybe even 2 months, because it was one of the last things that we did. But, you know, you hear comments about it'll fail. and it has not. So let's take a look at some areas where we did skim coat. All right, so where we did skim coat obviously is inside the house and as well as outside the house. So look at the difference. It's smooth. I mean, it's very smooth. You don't feel any sandpaper at all. And this is 2 coats. And actually in the house, I think they did 3 coats. 3 coats of skim coat and sanded every coat, and to just try to get it as smooth as possible. So we did 2 coats on the outside of the house, and it really does make the surface nice to paint, because you don't have that sandpaper feel with all the nooks and crannies to get painted. And then I guess another benefit, as I understand it, is paint adheres to the skim coat better than the cement. So that may not be true, because it's holding up very, very well. Now what we also did was we skim coated this back wall, this 11-foot wall, the whole length of the back of the property, as well as that wall and this wall here. That's part of the house anyway, so that makes sense. But we wanted to skim coat that because we knew at some point we were gonna upgrade the dirty kitchen, and we wanted all that skim coating done. And then, you know, when you paint it, it just simply looks better. And another thing that we did, longtime viewers will know this, is the back of this wall is 1 meter offset of the property line, and there's a concrete gutter, because we just did not want gutters up here. 1, I don't like gutters, and 2, they plug. And then 3, with all the rain, and just look at all this roof, the whole length of the house, all the runoff goes behind the wall and then just drops into the concrete gutter. That's on our property. All that concrete, when it was mixed, we mixed it with Sahara. And Sahara is a concrete waterproofer. And what that has done, because just think, every time we get a rainstorm, we get torrential rainstorms. The entire house, the water goes over. It's a lot of water. So there, you would think there would be wet concrete here. You would see residue of moisture, as dry as can be. And there is no mold. Now we see mold out here, and that's where the water splashes. See that corner right there? You see some mold. So we have to remedy that. But in here, where all the water's falling over, we see no mold. So that's just another thing for people to think about. If you think you have a wet corner of your house, just go to the hardware store and pick up a bag of Sahara cement waterproofer. I think it's 40 to 50 pesos a bag, so less than $1. And you mix 1 bag of Sahara with 1 mix of cement. So 1 bag of cement, 1 bag of Sahara. 1 for 1, very easy formula. And that does waterproof your concrete. So that's just another little bit of information for you guys. So for the next 4 hours, this happened. So much for sunny skies. So this actually is the next day. What a mess. It rained very hard, rained sideways for a while. Look at all the concrete that fell. So what basically happened is we lost 4 hours, maybe a little more. Probably see it's a little darker right here. And they had all this completed, and then the rain started. Guess what happened? It all collapsed. It all landed right here, or at least 50% of it. Not all, but most. So we had to basically just scrap the day. Luckily, we didn't get over here. So what we had to do was pivot, and we just watched the mess be made. And boy, do I I can't wait for this construction to be over. So I said to Wilma, you know what? I think we're gonna shut down these projects for a while. Only do clean projects, at least not do anything that's outside. But anyway, we did try to make some hay. So you see the silver track going all the way around. Do a quick zoom. So that's the beginning, that's the channel for the ceiling. That's going to be at 10 feet or 3 meters. I think it's just a little over 10 feet. So that's where the ceiling will be, the bottom of the ceiling. So it'll give plenty of airspace. And the reason why we're choosing 10 feet is because that's the same height as our bedrooms. And that is going to be the height of the top of the window from J Marketing. Remember, there'll be 2 fixed glass windows and then 2 panels of a slider. So that's going to be at 3 meters. So what we did was we measured up what we believe to be where the tile will be. So we took into effect the thickness of the mortar and the tile, drew a line. Then we measured up here 3 meters, drew a line, and then we used the Filipino level, which is a hose and some water. Many of you know that. I'm looking for it. I don't see it. But anyway, what we did was we made a mark down here, which I think is somewhere in here. It might be right here. And then what they do is they come on this side and then they just measure up from that to get the exact height all the way around. So it'll come back to that one point. So it'll be level to that point as long as they use the water in the tube leveling process. You know, more Western builds would use a laser. And I have one here somewhere. See that mess over there? There's a laser in there somewhere. I just don't know where it is, but they're more comfortable with the tube with the water. And it's accurate. It's pretty accurate. So we took the back half of yesterday and went ahead and put the track in. And here is some additional tracking that we have. So this is the first step as I understand it, and I know nothing about the way they do the ceilings here, but they put this looks like angle iron, but it's all aluminum. And then they call this double fairing. Again, all aluminum, this has a channel in it, and I guess that gets attached to this all the way around, and then they start doing every, I think they said every 24 inches, but I guess we'll find out together. So we lost a day. I lost a half a day. Is what it is. You can't change the weather, but it really came down hard. And you know, I said, you know, the gods are against me, because if we did this on Friday, on Monday morning we wouldn't be here. We'd be in here exclusively. So it goes to show you that when you don't plan your work properly, you're always supposed to plan your work and then work to plan. Well, we planned the work, but we evidently didn't work to plan because we didn't get up in time. So it kind of bit us, you know where. So here we are, actually Tuesday, wrapping up the wall. And it looked like it was going to rain here a couple hours ago. I was like, here we go, it's going to happen again. But looks like now it passed and we got some blue skies. So we'll get this done today, and hopefully we'll have a couple of hours to get going in here, and we'll give you play-by-play, because I really didn't watch the guys as they were doing the house when they did the ceiling. So I'm curious to see all the steps. So I guess we'll find out together.